As I always say, one of the reasons I became a priest without having, as young people, I had no sense of what it implied. But I came from a big family and we had serving, loving parents, and I guess I get my idea model from them. If you're going to be real, you're going to have a meaningful life. And they were all heavy, we must get educated. We were blue collar people. And loads of kids quit high school or went to trade schools, and my father said, "No, you're not going to do that." Anyway, and of course I found out years later what exceptional parents I had. But you have to live a long time to appreciate that. I mean, I had so many brides and grooms when you do the marriage and pre-marriage investigation. I couldn't believe how many people had such lousy parents, and a small minority, but a vocal minority, how many people hated their own parents. That was a learning process for me. So like anybody who wants to be a doctor or a nurse or a Baptist missionary or wants to go to the Peace Corps, most people really, when they start out in their professions, they do want to serve other people. So that was ingrained into me. And the local parish I happened to be in was very good in tough times. I came at the end of the Depression, and the priest would hand out money and buy shoes and do stuff secretly to all kinds of people in the parish. So I had a good model there. The people in the neighboring French and Polish parishes didn't have that model. So, I finally was ordained. I want to serve others. And one intuition I always had was, I smelled, I intuited that when you're a Catholic priest in America, at least, I can't speak for the rest of the world, you were able to deal, part of it was clerical power, I'm ashamed to say today, putting on the Roman collar and saying prayers at the dedication of a war machine, or installing a judge, or blessing a new cargo ship in Newport News. Or, you're called up. I'm going to bless a field for soccer girls next week. But anyway, part of it's clerical, but part of it is the people's need to have their actions or their play or whatever blessed. Although I had no more blessing power than any lay person in the church, but that's sort of the good side of a bad thing, clericalism. So I had this intuition that when you're a priest, contrary if you're a lawyer, you stick with lawyers and judges, and they do. I have a lot of lawyer friends. And the doctors, of course, got their own unique club. I don't want to be too hard on them, because I know some fabulous doctors from my life experience, fabulous serving doctors who weren't in it for money or prestige. And of course, fabulous public school administrators and teachers, etc. So, and then by my various assignments, I just got thrown in with every kind of human being there is. From the poorest black people in the public projects of Newport News, St. Vincent's, which was half white, half black, and I was able to integrate that parish, even to the point of having interracial picnics and interracial dances on the Feast of Fools the night before Ash Wednesday. And we think back of all the wonderful times we had, and it was as interracial as you could get, and friendships born out of church membership. Not athletes for Christ or Christian businessmen or that kind of nonsense, but real relational friendships, which are hard to achieve even in the South, where blacks and whites that live side by side. A co-equal interrelationship in a social way is not too common even yet. There's more of it, and then we talk about token blacks and token whites, and I know all about that. When I was pastor of the Black Church, Basilica of St. Mary's in Norfolk. Lots of times, I got to have a big black funeral. Because even though they're mostly converts, you know, the average black Catholic, 80% of St. Mary's had been a Baptist or AME or AME Zion or RZUA or one of those churches before they became a Catholic. The amazing thing about them, too, is they came in as individuals. You seldom had a family conversion. They were individuals that were fed up with the way black churches were run and all the hoop-de-doo and the clubism and all that. And they were thinkers or something. I don't know what it was, but they came into the church as individuals. It was an amazing phenomenon. The older crowd, of course, I used to call them high yellers to tease them, but they got insulted, of course. My methodologies weren't always the best. But they were all pedagogues and businessmen, a few black businessmen there really were, you know. And it used to get that, so you met all kinds of people, whether you're in the black community, a half black or white community, or in the mountains of Covington, or in the rich parish of Holy Family in Virginia Beach, or the ultimate Pentagon, wealthy, sophisticated, next to leaders of the country in Good Shepherd in Mount Vernon, or the all-black parish of St. Mary's. You know, wherever you went, you got thrown in with every kind of people you could imagine and interrelated and worked with them. You know, the police, you know, in the tough districts of the East End, the Newport News, and some of the next to downtown housing projects around St. Mary's. And you got thrown in with, you know, teachers and principals, administrators, the local judges, the federal judge, the dean of the law school, the dean of several deans of Eastern Virginia Medical School, which was just being founded when I was in Sacred Heart, you know. And there was a good example. The dividing line in Norfolk, Virginia is Granby Street. I lived 5 years on the white side and 11 years on the black side. So I had a good perspective about Norfolk. What a divided city it was, despite valiant attempts of the civil authorities and the school system to have real integration, which can be done more effectively by honest churches. But anyway, the churches are usually not the leaders. They're always dragging their feet.